Welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. Today and this week, we have a very special theme. You know, we pray every year as we're going into the holidays. You know, what is God saying? And, you know, it's interesting. Sometimes God is saying something that is not exactly what we're saying. That's how you know it's God. He's talking about things to come. And one of the things the Lord's saying is, I've got an audience, a dynamic audience. But mostly, not all. As you can see on my staff here today, we got Mercedes, we got Carl, we have the under 50 crowd.
Howdy.
But I've got a 50-year-old plus convergence crowd. If you study what I teach, then you know that convergence typically is it's when a role comes along that matches what God's been preparing you for your whole life to do. On occasion, the Lord does that with someone who's younger. But even so, as they move towards their 40s and 50s, they find a unique integration. And for many of you, this is the most important hour of your life. As a baby boomer generation is kind of shuffling off the scene here, I feel a special obligation to look at who's coming up in the world that is speaking to the Christian community about fundamental issues you don't normally hear about. So, for instance, we're talking about how to financially prepare for a time of shaking. The Bible says that a wise man sees trouble coming and prepares himself. But the other side of this issue is if you have resources while you're working on getting your house in order for shaking, your physical body is going to have to be in shape too, especially those of us that are over 50, 60, moving in that direction. You want to be able to have, my definition is, all the energy and vitality necessary to answer the call of convergence. In other words, I'm not trying to walk down the beach and impress women with my six-pack abs, even though I've never had six-pack abs. But
sorry, Carl and I are laughing. Go ahead.
Stop lying there. They're laughing. That's why I have to clarify this. But I am interested in having all the energy necessary to be able to do what I do. Traveling around the world, going from place to place, late night, early in the morning, having the ability to deliver on the calling and have my brain function and my body function and not be laid aside because of health. That's the reason why we picked some very special people for a very special event. Mercedes, what is this?
Yeah, well, we've got the Health and Wellness Summit coming up, and we've got an amazing list of speakers lined up for you, and I'm so excited to have one of them on the show today. Hey, if you listen to this program and you're like, hey, I want to find out more, you can go to lancewallnau.com/summit and check that out. So anyways, Lance, there you go.
Summit spelled SUMMIT, two M's, SUMMIT. And our guest today has a popular podcast. Many of you might already know her. You'll know how to certainly get a hold of her once we have done this broadcast here. Christy, Nickle, could you please join us? There you are.
Ooh, it's so good to be here, Lance. I'm like salivating over here as you're preaching. I'm like, he is right.
Well, yeah, and I think this is your life message too. I mean, you're a convergence person. You're in the thing God called you to, but tell us, how did you discover that this was your calling to help prepare people to live spiritually and physically at maximum level 10 fitness? And tell the story how you got here.
I started off I was raised pretty poor in the mountains of northern Idaho. My dad was a preacher and a police officer, and we just didn't have any money. And so when I went to go to college, there was no money to help me out. So I started fighting as a professional fighter to pay my way through college, which worked. I had 15 pro fights, 2 world titles. I fought all over the world, and I put myself through nursing school. But after that, I started getting fat. And I'm sorry if that offends people. I'm just going to say it like it is. You guys are going to hear that straight up from me, exactly how it is. We do not have time to sugarcoat anything. So I got fat, and I was like, why am I fat? Because I'm an elite level world-class athlete. Well, I found out it was because I was shoving stuff in my pie hole that didn't belong there. So I changed my diet. I lost a bunch of weight. I created the Code Red lifestyle. The word Code Red comes from my fighting career because I used to have red hair and I used to be in the medical field. So Code Red, and it just stuck. And now I teach people how to lose weight without shakes, pills, diet foods, or exercise. It's based around real food, water, and sleep. And I'm very passionate about the church, Lance, because we we're so unhealthy. God's people, we're just so unhealthy, but we accept it in the church and we don't talk about it. We all laugh about it. And I know that when I'm coaching, I always say going out to Golden Corral after church, because I know that's what everybody, because we used to do it too. You know, everybody in my family is obese. We all have battled obesity. So I get where you're coming from, but we have to quit accepting this as it's okay to do for God's people to be so unhealthy. Because you're right. You hit the nail on the head, Lance. You are not able to fulfill what you have been put on this earth to do because of your own choices.
Well, you mentioned something here that you're surprising me, because typically the shakes, the pills, the diets, and certain exotic exercise fads is all that I know of. And so you're going to have to, you're talking about something as fundamental and down to earth as what basic food, nutrition. Sleep, nutrition. Talk to me about this, because how do I make that? How does that work?
The top 3 lies in weight loss is, number 1, you have to exercise to lose weight. Number 2, you got to eat frequently. And number 3, you got to eat low fat. And nothing could be further from the truth. And the number 1 biggest lie is that you have to exercise to lose weight. Well, it's absolutely impossible to exercise off your weight problem. I hiked, let me give you an example, some 3rd grade math here. I hiked the Grand Canyon. I did rim to rim. I burned 3,500 calories, took me 9 hours. I was the first one out of the canyon. And roughly 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So you're telling me I got to hike rim to rim, 50, 60, 70, 100 pounds in order to lose weight? Your knees can't keep up. You cannot out exercise your diet. Your weight problem. Weight problem has to be addressed through nutrition only. I'm not saying exercise is bad. I'm an athlete. I love exercise for a million reasons, but it's not going to do a hell of beans good when getting the weight off of you. And it's such a relief to people, because I work primarily with menopausal women in their 50s and 60s who are raising kids, working full-time outside the home, trying to walk a dog, trying to maintain a marriage, trying to lead Bible studies on Thursday nights at their house. And they cannot handle going to CrossFit 5 times a week. It's too much. But what they can do is they can drink their water every day. They can get in bed on time, and they can stay away from sugar. So you got to nail those basics, and you'd be surprised how healthy you can get just nailing the basics. And let's not worry about exercise right now. You know, you want to go for a walk, that's fine. But throwing up a 195 overhead snatch, it's not going to help you lose weight.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, so talk to me, because I've heard other people say, muscle's the key. So I hear what you're saying about that. And it's like you want to increase your metabolism. There's so many different ideas out there. So, for people who are thinking like that, where does that fit in this kind of matrix you're putting out there for weight loss?
Right. People say muscle weighs more than fat. First of all, it does not. Muscle and fat weigh the same. Weight is weight, no matter if you're talking about a pound of bricks or a pound of feathers. So let's just get that out of the way right now. I've heard personal trainers say that muscle weighs more than fat. No, it takes up less room than fat. So yes, of course, in a perfect world, Mercedes, I would love if all of us were going to Orange Theory and CrossFit and we were all we were all at the gym by 5 a.m. and we were lifting weights and we did our 30 minutes of cardio, and it would be great. It's not realistic. So if I could design the perfect program for somebody to be able to do it, they would exercise and they would watch their diet. Problem is, you just have 2 conflicting goals, which is really hard for people to wrap their head around. They don't understand that eating for weight loss and eating for performance is as far as the East is from the West. They just fight with each other. So in our program, we get people, I bring the intake down. You have to bring your intake down. Volume matters. And then you're asking someone to go do a 50-minute CrossFit class. I mean, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be cranky. It's just best if we don't mess with that. And then when we get people down to goal weight, we transfer them into maintenance. Then we teach them how to start exercising, which we think is a healthy part of long-term lifestyle. It's just not. And of course, if you have more muscle on you, you can eat more, you can burn more. You're just better all the way around. It's just not realistic to ask somebody to do that. Yeah,
it's interesting too. As we were talking earlier, I always feel like maybe with the church, like eating, we feel like, man, that's like the one thing we're allowed to do. Can't do anything else, but eating, we could do that.
Fellowship is
fellowship after church too.
Supper at that church. I mean, that's where all the women bring all those high carb meals and desserts.
I remember you guys when my dad would be preaching and I could smell the church ladies putting out the potluck. Oh, come on with the potluck. I mean, the casseroles. And I get that, but we're talking about the proper human diet of eggs and bacon, steak and asparagus, cream cheese, cottage cheese. You don't feel deprived when you eat. Don't nobody need to be living off Hungry Man dinners and cake pops and Pop-Tarts. Like that, so what? You can't have Aunt Betty's casserole right now because it's full of absolute garbage that you don't need, but you can have a ribeye steak and eggs and bacon, avocado. You can eat plenty of good, fulfilling food. You can still fellowship. You can still partake. You just don't need to eat the stuff that's causing you to break down and be sick and fat.
I'm Carl. Do you have any thoughts on this while you're listening on this? Because
great number of thoughts. First off, a lot of the scientific literature out there says that people who go on diets, as soon as the diet's over, they gain back what they lost and then some. So the usual name of the game as far as diet is actually figuring out what works for you in moderation. As you were saying, you can still eat all these healthy foods. You can find the stuff that actually is nutritious and valuable. And it's okay to have the occasional cheat meal, but not a cheat day, that type of thing. So that's just something that came to mind initially. But back to you, Lance.
And the problem is that moderation, I mean, if you look around in this country, we have 88% of our country is sick and fat. Yep. And this is, moderation just doesn't work. And so you're looking at long-term, of course, it's long-term sustainability, and people gain the weight back because they don't adhere to the rules. Right. The reality is you have to adhere to the rules of whatever program you do. Right. You can't go back to your old ways or you'll become fat again. And it's just, and I've done it. We've all done it. We've all lost and gained the same 20 pounds over and over and over. So it's like, you gain the weight back. The program must not work. No, you just can't do Domino's pizza every other night. If you truly do one cheat meal a week, then we would not have the metabolic problems in this country that we have. But we don't. We do it. We always say it's just this once. Well, it's just one Costco sample. Well, it's just one this. It's one. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. You got all these just ones. Yeah. So we don't have a handle on it. We're at a red level. We're at an emergency level here where we don't have people. We don't have kids that are healthy enough to replace our first responders, our military. We are really at a tough spot. So I don't let my clients do cheat meals and crap. I'm just like, no, we're paying the piper. We're buckling down. We're doing this. We're getting you healthy. We are we're at a real turning point in our country. We have got to get healthy now.
And I think too, Christy, it goes to this part of the theme of this conference. And one of the reasons I really feel like God put it on our heart to do and to bring in experts like yourself is that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. They just don't know, because there's some people in this world that will take let's say, frozen bag of fruit and then freeze it and then blend it all up and feel like, well, this giant tub of fruit must be incredibly
Well, it's full of antioxidants. I want you to know it's loaded with rich antioxidants, all those frozen blueberries.
But it's true. Like, people just don't know. And I'm making fun of Lance because he's got such a sweet tooth. Yeah. And it's like he tries to be healthy, but that sugar need still comes in even through natural things, and all things in moderation to a certain extent. But, that's why I'm so excited to have you here, Christy, because people just don't even know what they're consuming. They think they're being healthy, but then maybe this option really isn't. So, talk to us a little bit about, especially the things you're going to be discussing at the conference. What can people really look forward to hearing from you on stage?
Yeah, the problem is we're sold a bill of goods. We're taught wrong from our government. We're taught wrong from the education system. We were all taught the food pyramid, where you need 9 to 11 servings of grain a day. And you can see as soon as the food pyramid was introduced, obesity rates started to skyrocket, diabetes skyrocketed. We got heart attacks and sleep problems. And we have serious people that have serious metabolic issues as soon as the government started telling us what to eat. And it's baloney. So it's not your fault. You're just doing what you thought, what you were taught in school, what you were taught by your parents, what you were taught by well-meaning, highly educated people. It's just simply not working. So I know that we haven't nailed down exactly what I'm going to present on at the conference, but I'm going to be definitely really hammering home the basics, guys, the things that you're definitely going to want to be at this conference for sure. Cause I'm going to come with the fire. I'm going to come with the LOVE love, but I'm going to come with the tough love. And we're going to go through the basics. We're going to go through how it's not as hard as you think. It's not as difficult. It can be simple. It can, I think we just overcomplicated because it's such a saturated industry. We need to simplify it down. We need to make it to where you can do this the rest of your life. And we're going to definitely cover that in the conference.
You mentioned something earlier you said the word goal weight. How does somebody determine a goal weight?
In my book, The Code Red Revolution, I talk about this in one of the chapters. I talk about goal weight. How do you determine your goal weight? Because I can tell you, Lance, that 9 out of 10 people choose a goal weight for themselves that is way too high. They say they choose a goal weight for themselves that they actually think they can achieve. I choose a goal weight where you actually need to be. And if somebody is starting weight of 242 and they're 5'6" and they're like, I just want to be 175, but that's still way overweight. It's better, but it's not. And it's because you just don't believe in yourself and you don't know. So what we talk about is when you're choosing your own goal weight, you think of a time where you really, really felt good and you looked good and you were happy with yourself and you had energy and you didn't have pain in your hands and knees and you were clear-headed and you felt really good in your clothes. That's a great way to choose goal weight. Or if you want to skip to the front of the line, you have me write you a fully customized program. I will choose your goal weight and as well as your calories, your macros, your sugar, your water. I choose everything for you and I put you on a very fast track to being able to get 10% of your body weight off every month. So there's a couple ways you can look at it, but if you're doing it on your own, you got to look back on a time where you really felt good. And you're like, what did I weigh then?
All right, full disclosure here. I had a great plan going. Here was my plan. My doctor gave me this thing you could shoot into your, like a needle.
Ozempic.
What's it called?
It's the shot. It's
Ozempic. Wait. No. So I was shooting this. I didn't. Actually, Annabelle had to do it because I can't handle needles.
Shooting up in the bathroom.
My wife was laughing because I hate the needle. Yeah. And then but then everyone complained that I was grumpy. And I said, I'm not grumpy. I'm losing weight. I feel good because I'm losing weight. But I was losing weight probably because I was messing with something and it wasn't lifestyle. It was an injection. And everybody was telling, my doctor even said, this is great. This is going to help you. And I lost weight. But everybody said I was hard to live with. I mean, it was Annabelle and Mercedes is everybody right there. So it's working.
And Chelsea. And other
Chelsea.
People that work here.
But so what's the story? I mean, I don't want to knock a whole industry, but that's Ozempic. Because a lot of people probably are listening to me saying, I do that and it works. But it maybe isn't like a healthy lifestyle choice. It may be a chemical manipulation of something.
Right. Exactly. You're hitting the nail on the head with Ozempic. I just did a podcast on this called Code Red versus Ozempic or semaglutide. You are manipulating the system. You're making yourself sick to where you don't want to eat as much, to where the absorption is slowed down, but you also have a huge risk for gastroparesis and different other problems. And you're going to lose weight. You're going to lose weight on the lemon and cayenne pepper diet. You're going to lose weight on the cabbage shoot diet. We don't have a weight loss problem in this country. We have a weight regain problem. So you've got to keep it off. And the reason you were grumpy was because it's just not the way that humans were designed to eat. Humans, and the way that Code Red works and the way that we believe in a high fat diet, because when a predator kills a prey in the wild, the first thing they do is eat the fat. They eat the fat around the kidneys. They eat the fat around the eyeballs. Sorry if that makes you squeamish. And so the fat is good. So when you get enough fat in your diet, you don't want to kill your family during the whole process. And that's how this works. You want to feel good during weight loss. And like eggs and bacon and avocado, you're talking the best thing you could possibly eat that's going to give you energy all day long. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And you're going to, unfortunately people, they're all doing that because they're desperate. They feel hopeless. They're wanting to try the next thing that's quick. And you just end up with a whole host of problems. So I would definitely try a high fat diet if I were you, something that uses real food, not the shakes, the pills, the shots, the prepackaged crap.
Yeah.
But you literally put together a structured plan for people that are serious about this. And my thing is there a way to do this where people aren't hungry? I mean, that's the main problem. That's why I like that shot, because I wasn't hungry. I was grumpy. I was miserable, but I wasn't hungry.
Right. Then not having hunger, that's the name of the game. We can't let people just go around hangry and grumpy and stuff. They're just going to give in. You got to get people feeling good. So that's where the high fat comes in. Mm-hmm. That's where we don't cut the gristle off the steak. That's where we make sure we have the yolk and the egg. Mm-hmm. And that is the good fat, the avocado, the bacon, the good stuff, the coconut oil, the butter, get a little bit of broccoli, put a little bit of butter and salt on it. I mean, you can't be happy with that. You can't be happy. So that's the name of the game. You got to give people something long-term sustainable that they can keep doing. And you can eat that at a C-store or at Bob Evans, or you go to Golden Corral. You can find something that works. That's the thing. You can't give people all these restrictions and then they can't find what to eat when they go out after church.
Yeah. And a lot of it's the sugar, it's the sugar almost drives behavior, because like anytime I've done, and I think of Dave Nolan, Dave lost a ton of weight doing high protein, fat diet, well, not diet, lifestyle. And so I mean, he lost so much weight. He was at the Dream Trip too. But I was just thinking, it's like, it's always the first like 4 to 5 days, your body almost detoxes of sugar, and it drives behavior at times. You're like, you know what I want right now? Ice cream. Like at night, it's the weirdest thing that'll happen. Like Larry will come downstairs. He's like, I want ice cream. Do you want ice cream? And you're like, where is this coming from? And so, but it's that sugar, and you'll feel miserable for the first like 4 or 5 days. And then you notice you're like, I don't really want that anymore. But you're like, I'd like that steak. So anyways, what are your thoughts on that?
That's why we don't keep sugar in our house. A recovering sugar addict does not keep sugar in our house, and a recovering drug addict doesn't keep drugs in their house. So we treat our sugar addiction the same way. I had a bad sugar addiction where I'd eat an entire pound of peanut M&Ms every night before bed. And when you said it's sort of like, it does this to your brain? No. It 100% hijacks your brain. 100% your brain lights up in the same area when a sugar addict sees sugar than when a cocaine addict sees cocaine. Wow. You're not going crazy. It's really hijacking you. So 4 to 7 days of detox. And it seems like day 8, the average person wakes up and just feeling phenomenal. And if you can stay away from those Hershey's Kisses off your coworker's desk and you don't put it back in you, then your taste buds in about 2 weeks are going to regenerate. And now you're actually going to have a different taste for sugar. So you're 100% right. Sugar, a dose-dependent hepatotoxin, is really running rampant and killing us. It ages the organs. It feeds into cancer. It's not good.
Yeah. Quick question. Are you familiar with Sweet Kick by any chance?
No.
No worries. It's a program. I can't remember the name of the guy who made it, but basically it helps with sugar cravings. It changes your biome, so you are less likely and less inclined to go after it. And then they also have these mints that augment your taste buds, so the sweet doesn't taste as sweet. It actually doesn't taste sweet at all. So you basically, like, you eat a cookie and it just tastes like the nothingness of it. So there's no sweet actually there.
And it's
my problem with that kind of stuff is, like, then what happens when you go off of it? You got to get to the root problem, the root cause. Right. Now, the deck is stacked against us. You can't go to Home Depot to buy a doorknob without Baby Ruth staring at you in the face when you're trying to check out. So the deck is stacked against us. But the real issue, we've got to get to the root of the issue. We don't need it. We don't eat it. And we've got to teach ourselves that I choose foods that heal. And so I think those are good aids. But then when you stop taking the product, you go right back to where you were before. You got to treat the underlying issue as well, or you're always going to battle with this the rest of your life.
I just want to say something too. I think couples need to come to this summit we're doing. Yeah. Because it's no good. It's not easy for the wife to take this seriously, and the husband isn't, because then you're cooking for 2 people instead of 1.
Well, you're cooking for one person. You got to cook for the other person, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you both have the same philosophy and you go, oh, I get it, then you're supporting each other in what you're doing.
Totally.
I deal with this every single day, Lance, as couples. And in a perfect world, in an ideal world, the couples would come together and be like, we have got to clean up our act. We got to get our kids healthy. We got to get this household healthy. Let's go. That's just not the reality of most of the situation I see. I mean, I coach over 20,000 people a day in my Code Red app, and it's just not the reality. The wife usually comes around first. The husband, he kind of watches her. So what I say to, that would be great. Iron sharpens iron, of course. In an ideal world, it would be great if the two of them did it together. But if you are alone in this and you have a spouse that's not on board, there are things you can do. Can your spouse put the junk food in a Rubbermaid bin in his office, in his truck, in his man cave? Can you just get it out of your sight? And the husband is like, listen, you've tried 19 diets, you've failed, you've cost this family $4,500 in failed diets. Why are you going to do this again? So don't say anything, ladies, to your husbands. Don't say anything, husbands, to your wives. Just let your testimony speak for itself. When your spouse sees you with more energy, with a clearer head, jumping out of bed in the morning, feeling good, it's not even the weight loss that your spouse will notice. It's the increased confidence and energy that's going to give you away. And then that person's going to come to you and say, all right, maybe I want to try it. And you talked about cooking two different foods. Why would you have to do that? Because you're doing steak and asparagus for everybody. Everybody can have that. The kids can have that. Nobody needs to have separate food. You know, you don't have to. You can still do eggs and bacon for everybody. You can still do, you can still do broccoli and salmon for everybody. So, I mean, my dog eats what I eat. We both ate salmon this morning.
That's a nice diet. That's a good meal diet.
And your dog's waking up and bouncing out of bed in the morning with a clear head.
That's right.
No, but what you said now, this is like what appeals to me. So increased confidence, increased energy, mental clarity, and bouncing. I don't wake up like that way. I don't wake up. Annabelle does. Annabelle bounced out of bed. Unfortunately, she's ready to talk. And it's like, stop. I have 30 years of this. She doesn't know. I can't have a conversation for an hour.
You and Joy are like that. Joy's the same way, right?
My daughter Joy's the same way. It's like, don't talk when she sees
coffee.
me. But are you saying that this could be a lifestyle change where I could wake up with energy and clarity versus the slow moving, kind of dawdling beginning of the day?
I'm saying with 100% confidence, because I've seen it for thousands of people that have come through my program. That's exactly what you would experience. It would be incredible. You would not even be able to recognize yourself. I mean, the weight loss that you would experience would be down on the list compared to all the good things, the pain that you have been dealing with in your body that you've just been like, well, it's just a part of getting older. That would go away because there's no inflammation. Remember, on Code Red, we eat meat, vegetables, nuts, eggs, seeds, seafoods, and fat. None of that is inflammatory. None of it is. So everything from the brain fog, which is brain swelling, to the joints, to your knees, your back, your head, your eyesight, your hearing, everything gets better because your body's not having to work so hard to process crap that we were never created to eat. And so, and we have another challenge starting on November 27th, the 10-pound takedown, where you can lose at least 10 pounds in 30 days. And you could try it yourself and then come to the conference, Lance, you and Annabelle, and show off your results.
I was just thinking that too.
10-pound takedown. I like that.
Yeah, 10 pounds takedown.
I have a question,
everything I do is boxing related because who does that? I mean, why not me?
Why not?
I've been holding this question though, and Chelsea's asked the same question from the back. And what we want to know, I was like, see, that's the Lord. There's confirmation. What is your opinion on alternate like sugar substitutes? So, if you can't have real sugar, what do you do? Can you have a sugar alternative in your iced tea for people from the South? What should people be thinking?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Now, in a perfect world, we would all grow our own plants grown with the tears of the Tibetan monks, and we would have our cow and would be on a field. That is not the reality of things. The reality is some people like sweet stuff. So what can we do? I have 2 approved sweeteners. I approve monk fruit and stevia. One's an herb, one's a plant.
Okay.
And I allow my rebels to have monk fruit or stevia because I don't know about you, but I like a little bit of sweet in my coffee. So I have this stevia. I put a little bit of stevia in it. Is it the best thing you can possibly do? Like, listen, you're not going through the Arby's drive-through.
Yeah.
I think we're moving in a direction of better. So for people to say, I can't believe you eat that. I can't believe you let that happen. No. It's better than real sugar. It's almost like switching to diet Mountain Dew instead of regular Mountain Dew. It's moving in a direction of better. So I do believe in sweeteners. Allulose is a good one. Monk fruit, stevia, and it's eventually maybe you'll get rid of them. I'm not going to, and I'm not going to ask my rebels to do something that I'm not going to do. I mean, at the June conference, I think, Chelsea, I met you back at the coffee table because I like my coffee. And I had put stevia in it, stirred it up. It's just not a bridge I'm going to die on. And it doesn't affect my health. I'm extremely healthy.
What about, like, I know we're going over, but I just have a couple questions. So I want to understand it more. But like, what about like bread alternatives? So do you allow people to have carbs, a certain amount of carbs? And if not, like, are there all bread alternatives you're suggesting, like a cloud bread or cauliflower? What do you do for that?
I think I put out almost a dozen cookbooks, and there is a cloud bread recipe in there. Problem is, we call that the workaround. And I was a keynote speaker at the largest keto conference in the world and down in Austin. And it was full of alternatives and everybody there was heavy. And so you can do the workaround for everything, and you can still have a weight problem. So we really want our rebels to limit that, like, keto brownies, keto pancakes, it's good for your kids. It's okay for your kids, I think. But man, you got to really be careful with those alternatives because they can get out of control. And then you can just find then you're like, why am I not losing weight? Why am my gut so screwed up? Because you're having too much of these processed food that's an alternative. So we want to eat as close to the earth as possible. So I try to get my rebels to stay away from that as much as possible, but I do have it in my cookbooks in case they do want to make a recipe, and it's better than Wonder Bread.
Yeah, it's like a gateway drug.
It is.
Yeah, yes, that's it. That's right. Mercedes, exactly.
All right, now, so I just want to clarify something because we did go like 2 minutes over.
You're
you guys are always telling me to stay
You're
on
going to clarify that you're signing up for this?
Well, here, I'm going to clarify.
I'm
clarifying a few things right now. One is you can see why we want Christy, Nickle at this conference, because I got doctors, and doctors have the facts and the information. But when it comes to coaching, it's a gift. Some people have a ministry. And the ministry of encouragement or exhortation is almost a prophetic thing where they infuse in you it's almost like a transfusion of their zeal for you to get well or their zeal for you to get healthy gets into you. So it's not just the strategy. It's like, well, just give me the notes and the diet. You actually want to be in conversation with the people that can kind of almost like cast a vision for what your life can be like. I love this idea about the increased confidence my people are going to have, the energy they're going to have, the clarity they're going to have, as well as the fact that they'll be pain-free and have the ability to look better and feel better at the same time. Personally, I think it's ironic that we're doing this like a day or two after Halloween or something like that, because it's like the candy. America it's like so sad that we train our kids to go get a bag of candy once a year and build your addiction up. So I'm totally into this. Now, you said you got 20,000 people on your Code Red app. So I always like to promote my friends. What's the best way of finding out more about your Code Red app?
You can go to coderedlifestyle.com and you can see all the stuff that we can provide for you. Everything from all my links to socials to the app to the, some people don't like being on social media, and I get that. So we built this standalone app to be able to, and we can deliver everything in that app if you want. We do some stuff on Facebook because some people just want it on Facebook, but you can go to coderedlifestyle.com and you can access all things Code Red from there.
Perfect. And I want them to access the energy and the anointing and the gifting of being with you personally. Go to lancewallnau.com/summit. We will be in sunny Florida. Is that correct?
Yes, in Miami, Florida at the Trump Doral.
Oh, the Trump Doral, one of my favorite places.
Down there with Miguel. He moved from the Trump, Washington, D.C. after they sold that, and he's down in the Doral now. And it's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be sunny. There's pools there. Get out of the cold in January. Come down and join us. Start the year off right. And I love this line that's on Christy's material here. It says, don't let your body hold you back from what God needs you to do. So join us, get the information that you don't have from Christy and all of our great speakers, and join Lance there too.
God bless you. I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. This show went very fast. Tell your friends that they need to listen to this podcast, because we're going to be focusing this month on like building that boat that will float. It's the financial, it's the mental, it's the spiritual, it's the physical preparation, because God doesn't want us in the trauma unit needing ministry. He wants us as able ministers during a time of shaking. And this is all part of the plan. God bless you all. Thanks again to Christy and Carl and to Mercedes. And we'll see you again tomorrow.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.